Here I am waiting for my ride to the office, and I opened up the book, and I'm sorry, what? A fairy story? Anyways, I looked it up, and it turns out that Animal Farm is a fairy story since it's a fable or a sort of allegory, and since it utilizes anthropomorphization to critique on real world events and on political systems. So let's get into it. And in one chapter, I'm back because the roads are blocked. Hey guys, so I did mess up just a little bit. I fell asleep right after the workday ended, and it's currently 8:35. But I just made myself a cup of tea, a huge cup of tea, and I'm gonna read the remainder of this book in one sitting, inshallah. And I'll just see you with the review after this. So it's now around 11:21 at night, and I am more than halfway through the book. I'm actually at page 61 out of 95, 94, and I'm really enjoying it so far. This is I think the second or maybe third time that I'm reading Animal Farm. This is quite a short read, but I think it's definitely a very necessary one. I think a lot of people that I know should read this. I think everyone should read it, basically, because you need to be able to know what's coming, what is basically happening in the world. And this is the realization of all real world events as they are taking place, how there's thought policing being done, how whenever someone takes the time, takes the effort, has the courage to marshal their thoughts, to formulate their thoughts into something worthwhile, into finally realizing what, shall we say, the establishment is doing, what our governments are doing, what is happening around the world, the world. Even as of now, the global events that are taking place, as soon as someone realizes them, as soon as someone starts to put their thoughts into words or their words into actions, they are silenced, and they are silenced in a brutal way. The brute force is, as we see, the factor that enables itself to rise above all else. And even when it's replaced, we have seen that even after revolutions, that brute force or that evil factor is just replaced by some other brute force or some other evil character. Even if the new evil character, the new evil force, even if they start out with the guise of someone who is freeing you from the predecessor, but they become even worse than their predecessor. So it's pretty much along the lines of 1984 as well. But 1984 was, of course, it was a lot more, since this is an anthropomorphization and it's animals embodying the different traits of humans. It's I wouldn't say it's hard to take it very seriously, but with 1984, although the themes are kind of parallel, but they are very much more explored, and they're very much more explored in a more terrifying manner, since we see our own future very much embedded in 1984. Since I've read 1984 years ago, I've been very, very scared about most of the thought policing terms, even though thought policing as a term was not used in this, but because it was used in 1984, I exactly attributed the events in this book to thought policing. A few pages left. Let's finish it, and I'll give it its final reading. feel like I need to sit for a while with this story, even though I've read it before, but it's so very deep, emotional, so wrought with truth, with despair, with what is actually happening, what has actually been happening from a very, very long time. How the working class, the the common man is oppressed, that it's just it just needs a lot of time to digest. Basically, yeah. Anyways, it is now 12:22. Let me show you. Yeah, it's now at 12:22, and I have finished the book. I would say it's fair to give it its due 5 stars because it's so complete, so comprehensive in nature. And what with the depiction of other than all the ideas that I just discussed, the depiction of the islands of wealth surrounded by seas of poor, which we see all over the world. Even though some countries, such as the United States and other countries, it's pretended are doing very well. But even there, if you look more deeply, you see the same islands of wealth. The islands of wealth would just be more sturdier, more formidable. And you would see the same. You would see the seas of the poor, the seas of the miserable, the ones who are manipulated and exploited in order to feed and harbor and foster the islands of wealth. It is the same all over the world, and George Orwell were very clear that is to say, realized that a long time ago. And in his writing, actually, I find a sort of, I would not even call it helpless fury, but of course to him it must have felt like helpless fury. I am saying not helpless because he has accomplished a lot in, for instance, inspiring me right now, inspiring thousands and thousands of readers that peruse his texts, inspiring us to a have thoughts, have new thoughts, have old thoughts be reaffirmed and be built upon. But in his writing, I find that same helpless fury where he sees the world for what it is. He sees the naked truth, and it drives him to despair. It drives him to such passionate despair that he put his pen to paper and he produced such beautiful and such just amazing texts, such as Animal Farm and such as 1984. It was a very good first day of reading 7 and 7, and I will see you tomorrow, inshallah. Bye.